Good evening, guys. Okay, I'm actually set up a little bit early, which is quite nice, means we can crack on. Welcome to this test flight for Fly-by-Wire, and on the face of it, it actually isn't very, it isn't anything major or very exciting, but what the developers have done is they have removed lots and lots of unused code lines from the coding of the aircraft, and with effect that should increase efficiency or things like that. Basically, whatever it does, it should make it easier to code the aircraft in the way that they want it to work. But of course, when you remove codings from programs, there's a chance that unforeseen errors and bugs can come into play. So it could be quite exciting in that things may go wrong in this flight. So a lot of the CDU and FMS code has been cleaned up, and we're looking for anything that could potentially go wrong. So altitude misbehavior, speed misbehavior during the cruise and climb, and top of descent misbehavior as well. So plenty of things that we need to keep a lookout. The flight will be performed exactly as a real world flight would be done, as in all the checklists. We'll have crew. We're going to take some Airbus executives here from Toulouse up to meetings in Paris. That's the backstory for this flight, and hopefully they'll be impressed because nothing will go wrong following all these lines of code, unused code that have been removed by the developers at Fly-by-Wire. So let's get rid of the timer, let's get into the flight deck, and let's get set up, and hopefully nothing major will go wrong, he says. Final last words. Okay, so we're sat at Toulouse, and what I will do as well is I will pop in the flight plan for today. There you go. As it is a test flight, we are using real world weather, but obviously not real world time. We are not on any network, we are not on VATSIM, anything like that. It is just us. So if anything goes wrong, we're not going to get in the way of anybody. So that's basically it. We need to do everything by the book, otherwise it is not a proper test. There we go. So get the lights extinguished, get the navigation lights on, and we'll start getting ready in a moment for our Airbus executives. APU will come on in a minute. We don't want to start that too early at Toulouse as part of the briefs. Sam C, good morning, and good morning. It's usually morning, it's the evening, isn't it? Good evening, Sam. And yes, and to everyone else that has been waiting for the countdown. So starting a little bit sooner. So do the fire checks. Dave, good evening. Thanks for joining me, mate. And that's all looking good. Still can't test the this is the latest, effectively the latest dev version, with a lot of unused coding now removed. So we shall see what happens. That's okay. That was my mouse that was having a moment. I'm scrolling one way and it's scrolling the other way. But I can guarantee that's the mouse, that's not the simulator. I think I need to get a new one. The scroll wheel's having its is ready for retirement. So CMF with the stable 0.52, you don't get the bird. You have to install the dev version in order to get the bird. Any reason why? Yes, because the dev version has got the bird, obviously. It is not yet deemed stable enough to be popped into the stable version. So it will do. It will, but not just yet. That's literally the only reason. So yeah. Let me get you as well the current METAR here at Toulouse. So you've got a copy of that to have a look at as well. 1029. You can set that. Definitely need a new mouse. This is taking forever. I know it takes forever to scroll through them anyway in the sim. That's ridiculous. 1029. 1029. Okay, right, with that what I am going to do is we're going to start getting the passengers on board so we can get out of here as soon as all the checks are complete. Our Airbus executives for their important meetings. Let's get started, shall we?
Cabin crew, yeah, we've completed the checks, so now you can open the doors and start getting the passengers on board.
Okay, no problem.
Samsung, you made the switch to Pushback Helper from Pushback Express today. Best change I've ever done. I've never used Pushback Express, so I don't actually know what the difference is regarding that. I've been convinced I got convinced really by you guys to tell me to get Pushback Helper, and I have to admit that is one of the best things I ever did, because that works really, really well, doesn't it? Very simple and easy to use. Get the flight directors on. Mad Pilot, your new Airbus joystick has finally arrived. Excellent. Have you got a big delay on the stream? Let me just have a look how we're doing stream-wise. Okay, I've got nothing here. Oh, hang on a minute. I know what it could be. Let me get rid of the chat. Let me get rid of the preview. And right, that might start to populate through and be much better. Once again, OSB was in preview mode. I've just got rid of that. Hopefully that should help. Sam, see, you like the idea of voice commands. Oh, that could that could be sketchy. Okay, so let me know how the stream's going, guys. If that that is now any better and not jerking around as much as it was. So I'm just checking the instrument panel, all that's set up. IR alignment in 3 minutes, and then we'll come down to the flight management guidance system. Okay, so with this in mind, let's just check all of this is working. That's the latest Eric cycle and data looks good. Let's check SimBrief is still all working as it should do. So init press, init data request. There we go. So that's Toulouse to Paris, Charles de Gaulle. 1 hour 7 minutes. Wonderful. Performance, weight and balance. Let me check these work. Good evening, Nick. So Pushback Express lets you have control over all the airport stuff. Gate, external power, fuel, truck. Yeah, Pushback Helper gives you the jetway, doesn't it? Doesn't give you anything else as far as I'm aware. Alright, so where are we? You guys have got this with me, so that's nice. Our block fuel is 5129, 5129. Let's get that loaded. Payload 17576, 17576, that is correct. 169 passengers, that is a lot of executives and their entourage. Zero fuel weight 58.6, zero fuel weight 58.6, rounded up. Yep, that works as well. Excellent. So now we can go to our init A page and pull these through. So, init request. Not in database, let's just clear that message and the uplink again. Let's try and pull that through again. There we go, we sometimes get that. Alternate is that Nance? Lima Fox, Romeo Sierra. Hopefully we won't need that. Pop that in there. Cost index of 25, flight level 380, that's high. 380, minus 66, that's cold. Let's pop that in there. 380 and minus 66. Pop that in. Is there a way to disconnect ATC? Every time I start the APU, the lady says ready for pushback. I don't want pushback at that time. Have you got any sort of guidance or assistance on there? It sounds like you have. If possible, definitely turn those off. GPS primary, so the ideas must be aligned by now, so that's good. Let's just have a look now at the flight plan. So we will be departing runway 32 left. And it is the Fisto 5 Papa departure. Fisto 5 Bravo, Fisto 5 Papa. Oh, where's that gone? That's interesting. Fisto 5 Papa. Right, okay. Well, the Fisto 5 Bravo. That's annoying. Why isn't that in there? They are actually very, very similar. One is for 32 left, one is for 32 right. So, I tell you what we'll do. We will change our runway for departure. So we're now going to take off runway 32 right, which is actually now the Fisto. This is the Fisto 5 Bravo, is that? I will have to double check. Let's pop that in there and then we'll have a quick look. Yeah, so as you can see, can you just see there on the navigation display, there's that almost little side step over. So let's just change the departure runway to 32 right. Still keeping that Fisto 5 Bravo. Fisto 5 Bravo. There we go. Insert that. And that should now be fine as we have a look at that. Yeah, that's now aligned. So that's great. So that now means I just need to recalculate the flex temp performance, which we shall do in a moment. And then when we get to Paris, what we are expecting is runway 27 left, is it? 27 left. ILS 27 left, and it will be the Kepler 9 Whiskey. Kepler 9 Whiskey, and that will be via Kepler 9 Whiskey via Banox. That's already in there, so that's good. Beautiful. So that is calculating a distance of 380 miles. Our flight plan is giving us 398 miles. So there's 18 miles discrepancy there. Oh, actually, that's just changed again, hasn't it? 353. So that may just be a navigation database mismatch in the way that those are handled. What we will do now is we'll just jump into our plan mode. Check this with the plan and music box. The standard is best. The A3NX is full of bugs. When you say standard, do you mean default? I don't think I could go back to flying the default aircraft after flying the fly-by-wire. So that departure looks fine, and then our arrival. Let's check this out when we get there. That's what I was expecting to see. That's absolutely fine. Wonderful. CMFR, what is the USR waypoint for? Right, the USR waypoint, you will probably know there was flight plan discontinuities. It's Microsoft's almost version of them, if you wish. At that point, you need to tidy up the flight plan. Unfortunately, you can't actually delete them, so there's a small gap in the problem. MFS Pilot, good evening. Back for another stream. Good to see you. So let's carry on with where we were. That's the flight plan sorted. Radio navigations. Let's go back to our flight computer, and we will just pop in the airport beacon for Toulouse, which is Tango Oscar Uniform. Pop that in. There it is, 5 nautical miles away. Lovely. And with that in place, in its B, so let's have a look at our fuel. Oh, where have you gone? In it B, so our zero fuel weight is 58.5, actually 58.6 if we round that up. Zero fuel weight, centre of gravity. So nicely loaded and balanced aircraft as always. Fuel plan says we need to take 3.3, we're actually taking 5.1. So let's get that loaded into our block fuel. And our trip wind is a slight headwind of 13, H13. Pop that in there. Hope I have a better flight than you, because yours took a dump and crashed. Oh no. Oh dear, oh dear. Robert Racer, I only have experience with self-loading cargo, so I can only advise you with that. The biggest problem I have with self-loading cargo is the cabin crew sometimes fighting with the doors, as I think they're doing now actually, if you listen in the background. Estimated fuel on board in Paris will be 2.5 tons, that's absolutely fine. So let's just have a look now at our performance. So it'll be a flaps 1 takeoff. Now I need to change our flex temp calculations because we've now changed runway to 32 right. So calculate that, and we're going flex temp 67 for our takeoff. Thrust reduction, acceleration altitude is 1993, and the transition altitude here in Toulouse is because we don't have any live 80s. Let's see if we can grab this from the charts. Quick look, transition altitude 5,000 feet. 5,000 feet. Let's pop that in then. Well, the last time we actually did a test flight, X3497, my sim crashed. My very first sim crash live on air. So let's hope that doesn't happen this time, shall we? Okay, so that's the takeoff performance page all set. Let's calculate these V-speeds, 130, 131, and 135. Alright, so gross weight is 63.6 tons. Let's do our quick departure brief then. We're a very nice weight. Weather is very nice as well. Have I given you the weather? I can't remember if I have. So I'll just pop that in there again. I can't remember if I did or not. So departure briefing. Weather is very good. Visibility is great. Wind 260 at 10, so nothing too concerning just there. Broken 1,200, so Cat 1 is fine should we need to return to the airport. Nothing wrong that we know of with the aircraft until we get airborne and we see if any of those lines of coding have affected things. Any threats to look out for this departure? None that are blindingly obvious. So our minimum safe altitude on departure is 3,000 feet. So if we need to get airborne and we have an engine failure, anything like that, we need to make sure we climb to 3,000 feet. If that happens and we need to return, we can return safely to the airport. The weather's good enough, our landing weight's good enough, so that's fine. X-Plane mobile edits, no problem at all, thank you for that. Christian, what was the reason for the crash? It was my fault. Community folder. I hadn't emptied it prior to updating the simulator, which is a big no-no and something I tell people never ever to do. And then what did I go and do? Well, exactly that. Okay, so let me just run the before start checklist. Engine masters off, engine mode selector normal, weather radar is off, etc, etc. Hang on, that's the preliminary cockpit checklist. I've already done all of that. So before start checklist, let's get that APU running, as it won't be long now before we push back. One of the problems I'm seeing lots of people getting crash the desktops on at the moment is the use of the FSUI PC and latest version 7.0304, something like that. I don't use that. Well, I do, but I used the very first one that came out and I've never updated it. I'm now kind of glad that I haven't. So HD, this is live. I love that you've come in and asked that question. It is live weather, it is not live time. As you can clearly see, Toulouse is in darkness, but as we're doing a test flight, I don't like doing those in the dark in case anything goes wrong. So once again, if you have just joined us, this is a live test flight, no VATSIM, no other aircraft on the network with me, and we're basically flying the aircraft as FlyByWire have removed a lot of unused code that was clogging things up, and we need to check that they've not broken anything in the process. So anything could go wrong. So quite good that you're here, HT, actually. Anything could happen. So that is our departure briefing, the before start checklist. Cockpit preparation is complete. Signs are all on /auto. The ideas are aligned. Check the fuel quantity is loaded and balanced. Flight management guidance system is all set. Altimeter 1029 set and cross-checked. Okay, we are about ready to push back. Ignore that, we're not flying Easyjet, we are flying FlyByWire. We're taking Airbus executives from Toulouse up to Paris, and hope we make it there without any of these removed lines of coding getting in the way. APU is available, so we best start warming them up, otherwise they're going to be very angry at us. Alright, so at this point we could request our pushback clearance. Get the rotating beacon line on. What would be nice is if we got the nose wheel steering disconnected, but I don't think that's going to appear on the eCam just yet. Acupressure's good. Get the transponder onto auto. Parking brake is on. Thrust levers at idle. Okay, let's start pushing back, and I think we're pushing back here to the... oh, we'll push back to the right. Sorry, push back to the left. Let's get that activated. Do we have a tug, or is it a phantom pushback? It may be a phantom one. Okay, so let us run the before start checklist. So this is below the line, and windows and doors are checked. Ecam status checked. Pitch trim. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Beacon, windows, doors, mobile phone, and parking brake. We're good. So let's start engine 1. APU bleed is on. Engine mode selector, starting engine 1.
Ladies and gentlemen,
no pushback took today. Oh dear.
Direct your attention to the monitors as we review the emergency procedures. There are 6 emergency exits on the aircraft.
HD, we probably didn't need to push. I'm just doing everything as I usually do to see if I can brake the aircraft. That's essentially the idea behind the check. See if you can brake it.
Listen for instructions from the cabin crew. Oxygen masks will drop down from above your seat.
So watching engine 1.
Like this and pull the strap to tighten it. If you are traveling with children, make sure you put your own mask on first before helping others. In the unlikely event of an emergency landing and evacuation, leave your carry-on luggage and items behind. Knife rafts are located below your seats and emergency lighting in the floors will lead you to the closest exit. We ask that you make sure that all carry-on luggage is stowed away safely during the flight.
And we can start
takeoff. Please
engine
take a
2.
moment to review the safety procedures on the card in the pocket in front of you. Thank you for your attention and we hope you enjoy the flight.
So engine 2 now starting. For everyone that has been watching the stream previously, we've been using the stable build, so this is the developer build as well, so there may be some other differences that creep in. The current version that you are seeing in the stream right now is the latest developer version, which actually gets updated probably, let's pop them parking brakes on, is probably updated, maybe every 24 hours with minor updates that you probably don't even notice. But this has got lots of lines of code removed, so let's hope they've not removed anything that's important. Okay, so engines 1 and 2 stabilised. Just checking we are thrust idle. The N1 just appeared a little higher than I'm used to seeing there. Perhaps HD, you can confirm that for me. It's not a lot higher, so it's probably within what's deemed to be normal. Right, so engine mode selector normal. APU bleed can come off. We do have some clouds, so we will pop the anti-ice on for takeoff. That was planned, so that's good. APU master is off, ground spoiler is armed, rudder trim is set 0, and our pitch trim today will be down 2. Flight controls, oops, pitch trim and ecam status checked. Okay, so we'll now be clear to disconnect, however they've already disappeared. They weren't even there in the first place. After start checklist, anti-ice as required is turned on, ecam status checked, pitch trim set and rudder trim set 0. Okay, so pushback is clear. We'd now get the taxi clearance if ATC was online. Get the taxi light on. And we can now remove those parking brakes. And we can do a brake check as well as we start to move. At the moment I've released those parking brakes, we're rolling quicker than used to in the stable version, so unless that's me, that's okay. We'll do a brake check in a moment anyway. So we'll stop in a minute and do some more checks just before we depart. Malcolm, you're interested to see the speed while taxiing. Well, it does taxi on idle thrust, and the one thing that I do say is the difference between the sim and the real world is the real world pilots can just apply a little bit of pressure to their brakes, whereas in the sim you kind of have a push button and it applies full pressure to the brakes, so that doesn't work. Taxiing at Toga isn't recommended. Fair point. Okay, so just before we enter the main taxiway, which is just here, we shall stop and run the before takeoff checklist after carrying out a couple more checks. Okay, so let us hold that there. So flight control check: full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, rudder, full right, full left, neutral. And weather radar, predicted wind shear is on, transponder is set, cabin crew, let's ding the cabin.
Cabin crew seats for takeoff, please.
And parking brake to max. TO config, we need flaps 1, test TO config as normal, and we will put terrain on just because we've got that minimum safe altitude we need to be aware of for departure. So departure briefing: any change in performance, we have changed runways, we've accounted for that due to a missing SID in the guidance computer. Engine out procedure, we need to engine out procedure obviously after V1, continue the climb, maintain 3,000 feet or above, that's the minimum safe altitude, and we will return to Toulouse if we have any issues. The weather's fine with that. Stop altitude is set in the FCU 7,000 feet. Okay, so the before takeoff checklist: flight controls checked, briefing confirmed, flap setting config 1, FMA and takeoff data, max brake, climb and nav all blue, V speeds V130, 131 VR and 135 V2. Flight directors 1 and 2 both on. Transponder is set, ECAM memo no blue, and electronic flight bag as required here on the tablet at the side of me. Malcolm, no wonder your passengers are unhappy before takeoff. Fair point. Ferran, this is all self-loading cargo, my friend. It is nothing else. That's the only thing I have. Okay, so just before we take off, make sure our approach path is fine. Brake temps, are they being added to the wheel page just yet? I don't think they're there yet, are they? Brake fans are off. And the approach path looks clear. It should do. There are no other aircraft on board the simulator tonight. Okay, so strobe lights coming on, landing lights coming on, nose wheel and runway turn-off lights are on. Engine mode selector as required, transponder TARA, anti-ice is on, packs can come off. Let's go. Oh, HD, didn't realise that they were actually the brake temperatures. I thought they were the wheel temperatures. Fair enough, thank you for that confirmation. Worthington PS, hello, that is possibly the longest username I have seen in the chat room. Before takeoff, checklist. Below the line. Cabin is secured for takeoff. Engine mode selector as required. TCAS TA RA packs off anti-ice on. Start the chrono. Let's go. %, N1 and setting flex temp. Man flex, SRS and runway. And back to neutral by 100 knots.
100 knots.
There's a lot of right rudder on this takeoff. V1, rotate.
Positive rate of climb. Gear up.
So flight director's looking good. Remember guys, what we're looking for really on this flight is anything that is abnormal. Make sure that the fly-by-wire guys haven't broke it. And we can select climb thrust. Lower the nose slightly. Accelerate away. Still got the flight director wanting us to fly almost level though to gain the acceleration, but that may be a Zobo Microsoft issue. Okay, so flaps 0, ground spoilers disarmed. Let's put the packs back on. And then we'll get the autopilot on as well in a moment. So the engine anti-ice was on for this cloud bank that we're about to fly through just now. Got the sun shining behind us, that's nice. Standard pressure, and now we can carry on all the way up to flight level 380 is the altitude for this. Autopilot 1 engaged. Okay, so far that seems to be handling itself. Just watching the climb though. That is one of the things that they say they may have broken. We seem to be climbing very, very steadily at the moment, if at all. So initially we had an initial climb out, didn't we, of 7,000 feet. Is that one of the constraints that's causing that? I don't believe so. So why are we not continuing to climb? So if let's go to open climb mode. Does that do anything? Okay, open climb mode is starting to climb. If we're now going to managed climb. Alright, so that was interesting that it stopped at our initial climb altitude. Worth noting. Aircraft will now continue hopefully to climb as it would do previously. I've been missing everything in the chat, so if you've spotted anything important, do remind me. HD, what green lines disappeared? Did I do something or has the aircraft done something?
gentlemen, you may now use your electronic devices.
Oh, and I'd not engaged it. Oh, that's my fault then. Oh, fair enough. If it was in alt, then it was going to hold 7,000 feet, wasn't it? Open climb sorted it, and then managed. And climbing at 3,400 feet per minute, so that's fine. Okay, so we're now passing 10,000 feet. The lights can come off. We could also turn anti-ice off as well, as we don't have any more clouds to worry about. Everything's looking nice and stable there, so we can release the cabin crew. Electronic devices are now permitted. We could check that on the replay, can't we, HD? See exactly what happened there. Obviously, if it captured 7,000 before I engaged it, it would have held it, wouldn't it? Pete White, push the alt cell. Are you familiar with the Dash Q400 by any chance? If you are, you'll know exactly why I've mentioned that. HD, so the green flag plan was hidden by the massive green on the terrain after takeoff. So is that normal? Would if you get a colour clash there, do they identify that in another way? So let's have a look at our maximum and recommended. See, that's okay. Our optimum is 390, recommended max 390, and we're going for 380, so that's all right. 1 hour 7 minutes the planned flight time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to serve a selection of alcoholic drinks including wine and locally sourced ales. Please make sure your tray table is in the down position and clear any items from the aisle. This is a paid-for service, so please consider tipping the cabin crew and the channel using stickers or super chats. Thank you.
See, what we can do, of course, is just turn down the brightness. That would have probably made a little bit more sense. I never actually touched that until I realised it's too late. Dogtag Gamer, steering tiller, do you use the rudder pedals to turn left and right? Yes, yes. Can you actually bind the tiller to anything in this? That'd be kind of neat. If you could all get hold of a mini joystick or something like that. So you have a side stick and then you have a little one at the side of it. So the time in the simulator is 16:25. Frame rates seem to be handling alright with both screens turned on. I normally turn the first officer's displays off. However, we are going to Paris, so do you know what? I am going to turn those off because Paris is very demanding on the simulator at the best of times, let alone when you're flying the fly-by-wire aircraft. Actually, HD, I do have on the side stick that I use. It does have a thrust. It does have a mini thrust lever on it, which obviously I don't use and I don't touch. But I wonder if that could actually be assigned to the tiller. That is a good idea. I might have a little play with that. Snake Eyes 951, that is it. It is a code cleaning test. No new features other than potential emergencies as they've cleaned the code up. So this is just performing flights using this particular version, ensuring nothing goes wrong. We don't want anything to go wrong, famous last words. So ensuring we've got good alternates and knowing where we are and situational awareness is key. Oh, digital flight deck, what did you not notice? I'm intrigued now. Clearly I missed something there. See, is the tiller actually operative in... Can you... Because I know sometimes you can actually grab hold of it. No, you can't. If anyone's currently got the simulator loaded up, just hit the escape, go to your options for controls and type in tiller, see if you can find anything. Yeah, HD, that's understandable as well. Could do it that way. But yeah, no, I do have a mini lateral thrust lever here on the side stick. Could be interesting. If, of course, there's an option to bind anything to the tiller. Oh wow, you were 6 or 7 minutes behind on the actual stream. Fair enough. Do you know, I've only ever flown into Paris at night on the simulator, so it would be quite nice to see it in the daytime. It is one of the handcrafted airports, isn't it? So lots of stuff there, and of course the city of Paris. Viper78, good evening, thanks for watching. You do get a small slap though for calling it a game. It's a simulator, as those die-hard fans would try and insist. Aerial autoland, absolutely not, but it is being worked on. Top of descent, no, not yet, but again, being worked on. Snake Eyes, that is a very good question. Should you use the new FPA, newish FPA, well it's not new to Airbus, just to the flight sim, FPA track 3 degrees to manage descent, using the ×3 plus 10 general rule of thumb? I wouldn't. You tend to use it generally more for the approaches involved at airports rather than sort of like a top of descent. Very useful for things like RNAV. We may have to do a little tutorial on it. That's the only time I'd really use it, when you've got an RNAV approach. Particularly as approach mode doesn't always seem to capture the I don't want to use the word glide slope, but the approach track. Viper, you're forgiven. Heavy frame rate hit at Paris. Yeah, Nick, that's what I'm expecting. So we shall see. We shall see. Magnums, any idea why the flight sim doesn't have oh, Miria plane available? It would be neat, but I believe that actually has 6 pilots. Certainly 6 people up front to help fly the thing. So that would be a lot for one man to handle. The Ginju, can I try and clear the next waypoint, see if it happens or no? Right, oh, hang on. See if the flight plan automatically changes to the next waypoint. Well, I'll tell you what, just for you, why not? Let's zoom in here on the navigation display. So, what have we actually got? So the next waypoint is 20 miles away, and it is Perig. So if we want to go to the next one after that, come down to the flight plan. So, do you see, this is the question now, do you want to clear it, or do you want to just go direct to the next one? Because normally that's not what you would do. You wouldn't clear a waypoint. You would just go direct. So if, hang on, let's just try this. So if I go to clear and clear Perig, which is where we're currently headed to, that remains. So hang on a sec, let me just erase that. Let me just zoom out a little bit more. So let's say we were going to, because that looks like a bit of a zigzag line anyway there on the nav display. Let's say you wanted to clear, what is it, Foucault or something? You need to be careful with that pronunciation. We're in France, Foucault. And so if we clear that, what happens? That doesn't look like something I want to do, to be honest, looking at that track. So I'll tell you, no, forget that. What you would do is you would just clear something. So you could easily clear the next waypoint. So if we wanted to, sorry, you wouldn't clear it, you'd go direct. So after passing Perig, we could just go direct to Papa Oscar India and do that instead. I don't think clearing waypoints works very well at the moment in the simulator. But you can definitely go direct, that works lots of the time. Should I turn off the seatbelts? Yes, I probably should. Shouldn't I turn off the chrono? Well, the chrono here that I use on the navigation display just there is the one used to check against the operational flight plan, make sure that we're on track and things like that. So no, I'll leave that one going. Or fly to Orly to save FPS. We'll get the turn the seatbelt signs off. Does the beams function work HD? No, not yet. Not yet. I don't even know if they've planned that at the moment. Colleagues, am I the only one not happy with the weather radar? Seems very sensitive. It is actually very accurate, but only at a particular altitude, and I don't know what that altitude is. Wow, that looks nice. So it's always showing you, like, I think it's maybe the lowest cloud layer and what that happens to be doing. Okay, so the green tube, you want me to go direct to the next waypoint. That I can do. Let me pass, I'll tell you what, we've passed the previous one, so if I now want to go direct to Papa Oscar India, you can select direct Papa Oscar India, and then have a look. There you go, that updates quite nicely on the navigation display. You've got the yellow line showing where you would be going, and then all we need to do is go direct, and that should work in a minute. So you can see the aircraft is already turning towards Papa Oscar India, and it's got the green line taking us there. Now the thing to check is we still have the green line also from Foucault. However, Foucault has been bypassed, so we shouldn't go back there. That is just a little bit of leftover coding that they've not removed. But fair enough. Okay, that's our engine spooling back. We're about to hit the cruise level for the flight. HD, they have worked on that, the MMO speeds. I have seen that somewhere in their documentation that that's been worked on. HD, the beam function, which one are you wanting me to try? Sorry. Go on, talk me through that, because it's not something I've been able to do. Give us step-by-step instructions, and I shall certainly try that for you. Whilst you're typing those out, we'll do the top of climb checks.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the cockpit, once again, just let you know that we've reached our cruise level for the flight today. The cabin crew will be making their way around, serving drinks, hot coffee, teas, etc. So please keep any eye on some of the lights and
So it's still showing that battery 1 is turned off, but it's not. I will double check it though. Nope, it's not. So if we wanted to go then HD direct to Pepax, and there's the beam in blue. I'm presuming you just want me to select that, and that's not working. Just double check if we zoom out on the navigation display, because that's a few miles away. So HD, can you talk us through that? What that should do when that functions? The passenger crew tool is from self-loading cargo. Okay, what I want to do is get some weather, because it's not the longest flight, so let's crack on and get that. You do realise, HD, if they do get the McDo up to a really high standard, then you may have to write a new manual. Well, HD, you want me to insert that? Well, yeah, we can do that. So let me just go back to flight plan. We shall go direct to Pepax, select a beam, and if we insert that, what it has done is actually clear out the old lines. And it has cleared out everything that was before it. So it's actually done the opposite, HD, if I'm understanding you correctly, of what we expected it to do. Oh well, never mind. So going direct to that waypoint has actually got rid of the other problems, the other lines. Right, has that weather message come through yet? Messages received. Let's have a look at this and see what we can expect when we get to Paris. That's a little bit windy, isn't it? 29018 and broken 1,000 feet, broken 1,800 feet, 9 degrees, QNH 1019. There we go. Let's get that information plugged in. QNH 1019. Temperature 9 degrees. That's quite warm for January, isn't it? Okay, HD, that makes sense, thank you. But it, no, as you saw, it has cleared them out. 290 at 18. Transition altitude then in Paris, 5,000 feet. Approach speed 133 and minimum descent altitude for our approach is 587. 587. So it'll be a Cat 1 approach. Quite comfortably. Just after sunset as well, by the looks of things. Okay, so we've got our weather and landing information. The flight management guidance computer is all set. Landing elevation is 387, so it's 200 degrees. The minimum descent height is 200 feet, sorry, above that. That's fine. And the arrival briefing, let's quickly go through that then. So we are using the Kepler 9 Whiskey arrival this evening. Just checking that's correct, I'm sure it is. Yeah, Kepler 9 Whiskey. No, I still won't see Paris in daylight. Quite right too. Right, no, I'm going to ignore you. So it's the Kepler 9 Whiskey arrival. We would need to be at waypoint Banox by 1,400. I'm talking rubbish. We need to be at Banox, the initial prefix, at 14,000 feet. From Banox we then fly on a heading of, oh come on Navigraph, why don't do this to me? Why are you not working? Alright, well while you have your little moment, I may have to relaunch the app. The important thing for the moment is when to start our top of descent, which is, oh there we go. Right, so we need to be Banox for 1,400 feet. We're currently at 38,000 feet. So we need to start our descent not too far away actually. One moment. It's alright, I'm trying to get my Navigraph charts to working, but it's not happening. It's not happening. Come on Navigraph, wake up. There we go. Okay, so 82 miles away from Banox. 82 miles away from Banox, when we should leave Banox at flight level 140. We then fly the approach to Toulouse, and then PG 510, PG 515, PG 516, leaving there on a heading of 88 degrees, at which point ATC would normally then vector us in. However, there is no ATC today. So what I am going to do, actually the first thing I'm going to do before we go any further, is have some pedestal lighting. There we go. So let's just check the coding is all correct with that. So there's Banox, there's Toulouse, and then PG 510, 515, 516. 516 is the last waypoint that we actually have here, and we need to leave there at 88 degrees. After we leave there at 88 degrees, we need to be descending and then make a left turn to intercept the localizer 110.7. Let's check that's all keyed in. 110.7, that is correct, and the platform altitude is 5,000 feet. So we're not too far away from our top of descent. We're about, well, Banox is about 120 miles away. However, that is not track miles, as you can see just there. So won't be long, won't be too long.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to serve our drinks selection, including tea, coffee and cold beverages. Please make sure your tray table is in the down position and clear any items from the aisle. As this is a paid-for service, please consider tipping your cabin crew with stickers and super chats. Thank you.
One thing to note, although unfortunately due to clouds I don't think we're going to see it, as we pass PG 510, the Eiffel Tower shall be out the right hand side. So other things that we need to note, if anything does go wrong, the minimum safe altitude is 3,200 feet. Lewis, we're on our own time zone tonight. We are not flying live time. We are flying live weather, but not live time. So it is actually, where I'm currently sat, it is 21:46 Zulu. But in the simulator we've got 1647. The electronic flight bag is still being worked on. I know lots of people are very anxious for that. I can't wait to see, because at that point then I shall just be able to zip over here, zoom in, and you'll be hopefully able to see the charts that I am referring to, which is going to be absolutely fantastic for streaming, isn't it? So that's going to be great. So if you are joining us a little bit late, all we are testing today is the aircraft. This is the developer build of the aircraft, which you can download. But what we are testing is basically they've removed, the FlyByWire guys have removed lots and lots of lines. I think they said about 1,000 lines of unused code for the aircraft. So we're just checking they've not removed anything that's essential. That's the main thing. Lewis, I'm not on lifetime purely because I don't like doing test flights at night. I prefer to be able to see out the window if anything goes wrong. Boss Colin, good evening. Thank you very much for your kind donation once again. It is, as always, very, very much appreciated, and hope you're getting help and enjoyment from these streams. Oh, HD, why would they do that? What order would you like them in? I like them... Literally, I think the way Navigraph does them is brilliant, because you can't move them around. It is literally from your departure airport to your arrival airport with stars, and then your arrival, the ILS, etc., or RNAV, and then the ground charts. What other way would you have them? Is that just me? Thomas, your aircraft stops showing the terrain after 3,000 feet. Well, I think the radar is it limited to a certain altitude? Or, you know, from how far the terrain is away from the bottom of the aircraft and the radar that it uses. Thomas, it's hard to navigate to Innsbruck in fog with no terrain. Well, it's not if you're flying IFR, but then there are limits to Innsbruck anyway. Check those minimum descent altitudes. Lewis, I don't think I am streaming tomorrow. I didn't actually plan to stream today, so that's this is a little bit of a bonus. Oh, Boss Colin, thank you very, very much once again. You're so generous. Have you got Boss Colin? Are you on the Discord server yet? Yeah, if you are, if you're not, get yourself on there, and I'll come and find you. So thank you very, very much for that. Yeah, so I think HD's just confirmed that it might not show any terrain that's more than 3,000 feet below you, but it shouldn't turn off. Same as if I've got it. If I turn it on here, so we're at 38,000 feet. So. Boss Colin, you are. That's fantastic. Have you got the same username, or is it something completely different? I will look out for you. Thank you once again. Yeah, so the terrain radar I've just switched on, obviously, 38,000 feet. That terrain is thankfully a long, long way below us, so we're not going to see that. I'll turn that back off now. HD, is there a way to declutter the navigation display? I can't remember if there is meant to be one. Obviously we've got airports on, and as you zoom out, naturally there's a hell of a lot of airports. Or does it show every single one? I can't remember if there's a declutter tool or if I'm thinking of something else. Same name, Boss Column. That is great to know. I promise I will find you. So, just stating that again, the top of descent will be about 80 miles away from Banox. Is it Banox? Yeah, Banox. Yes, HD, I know I can zoom in. that wasn't what I was after. So digital flight deck raises a very good point there. So you should still pick up the terrain, but if you're above sort of like the limit of the radar, it's not going to find it. So what you're saying then, Thomas, is if you were at 8,000 feet and the terrain was 1,000 feet below you, it still wouldn't pick it up. Really? Wow. Certainly haven't noticed that. Yeah, HD, that'd be a nice feature, wouldn't it? At the moment, I'm suspecting a lot of those purple stars are grass strips. Suitable for Cessnas. I wouldn't want to try and get the A320 down there. Oh, Digital Flightback, are you a man on a mission now? You're going to check that out. Lewis, thank you very much for those kind words. So far, touch wood, we're certainly all safe, but oh, doesn't everyone just want this to be over? What a year 2020 was. What a year. Well, my local grass strip is Netherthorpe, which, how many of you, the first time you got flights in 2020, how many of you, the first time you got it, took off from their local grass strip in a Cessna or something like that and tried to find their house? I know that's what I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking again from the flight deck. You'll be delighted to know that we'll be starting our descent shortly towards our destination, and the cabin crew will stop preparing the aircraft for our arrival. If you can make sure the hours are clear for the cabin crew so they can make their way around the aircraft, that would be most appreciated. Thank you very much, and we'll have an update for you shortly.
Okay, so we're at the top of the descent in just a few miles, and we shall get the aircraft down to 14,000 feet to hopefully be level at Bannock's. There is one positive to come out of the fact that everyone's stuck at home, and that is VATSIM's become very realistic with lots more air traffic control coverage. Okay, we are on our way down. We can also turn down the brightness of some of these displays now that the sun's disappearing behind us. I love the Earth's shadow casting on that. I think that's great. Can anybody else hear like a Morse code in the background since I switched to this outside view? Is it just me that's got that? I've got like a little beeping in the ears. Nick, so you can realise, you've just said exactly what I was on about. Why have I got nav beeps? Oh, that's a nice image, isn't it? We've got Orion in the background. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it's aliens. I knew, oh, Digital Flight Deck, I knew someone was going to come out with that. That's doing my nutting. Let's get back in the flight deck. I don't want to hang around if there's aliens around. Thought I was over where the Titanic sank. So Renegade, you've got that beeping as well. That must be a fly-by-wire thing. I don't know what that is. What I really do like is if you go into the drone, at the end of streams sometimes, just to finish them, I take the drone around the airfield just for a spin, and the higher up you go, you can hear the winds if it's a windy day. I think that's incredible. If they were there at the start of the flight HD, they're not there anymore. Murad, good morning from Australia. Don't know about the hold function, not yet. That is still a work in progress. Why did I turn off the first officer displays? Just for frame rates, you're quite right, Thomas. That is the only reason. We were actually doing okay without them, to be fair, but we're going to Paris, and that is a frame rate hogger. Who needs an FO? I do, HD. Remember that. More a PM than an FO. What I am going to have a look at, and we should have done this whilst we were at cruise when I was chatting away, is, has the fuel burn changed at all? Check this with the flight plan. We're direct Romgo, 41 minutes in. So it's saying we should have 2.7 tons on board, and we've got 3.7, so an extra ton. Actually, remember that's minimum fuel remaining. That's not telling you what it should have. Didn't notice what it was burning during the climb, so I can't help with that. Oh, HD, I knew you would. Climb fuel was still wrong. Never mind. I did set a different performance factor for the fuel for this one. I forgot. I think I went quite hard. I went to -20 for this just to see what happened. So I'm going to set the standby here to 1019, which is the local pressure. We shall do that in a moment. The transition altitude is 5,000 feet. We're currently descending to flight level 140. Darren, it's not going to snow in Leeds tomorrow, is it? Not that it makes any difference because we're not going anywhere. Oh, I'm back to homeschooling tomorrow. The wife goes to work for a rest. Do you know, I actually wouldn't mind the homeschooling. That's not the issue. It's trying to homeschool the 6-year-old whilst you've got 3 2-year-olds running around. Apparently it's going to snow tomorrow then, is it? That could be interesting. Still can't change to speed yet. Never mind. Quite heavy from tomorrow morning for a good few hours. Oh well. That's schoolwork out the window then, isn't it? They want to be in the garden. Lewis, what do you want help with? I've completely missed what your problem was. My apologies. How do I know which numbers on the wind are, for example, how would you know if it's a tailwind or a headwind? It all depends on the direction you're flying, my friend. It also helps when you're in the Airbus because you've got this nifty little arrow just there on the top left. So at the moment it's 285 at 38. We're flying on a heading of 031, 31 degrees. And so yeah, there's a slight tailwind coming from the left hand side. So remember, the numbers don't tell you whether it's a headwind or a tailwind. You have to kind of work that out yourself depending on the direction you're travelling. But Airbus give us a little arrow as well if we want to be lazy. Oh no, Darren, you don't want to find, what is it, £200 now or something? Yeah, so as HD says, that then gives you the crosswind component, I think it's called, if we're going to get technical. Oh, you were right. I'm still not going to see Paris in the daytime. I could just change the time, but that's not very realistic, is it? So we're about 30 miles away from Banox at the moment. Digital flight deck, that means maths. God forbid. Truman Show it with the time. That was a great film. I forgot how old I was when I watched that film. Obviously much younger than I am now. But oh, that film, I loved it. Particularly as I was always used to seeing Jim Carrey being acting, you know, playing the fool. And in that one he wasn't. It was great. Mark, what's new in this version of testing? Absolutely nothing that you will see. It is coding, about 1,000 lines of coding that have been removed, and we're just checking they've not removed anything really important. Which so far, everything appears to be working rather nicely, doesn't it? You can see the yellow lights of Paris ahead of us. It was some of Jim's best work, Sam C. Quite right. I haven't seen that for years. Might have to watch it again. I just don't get time. Not anymore. If you like films, kids, if you like films and doing what you want, don't have triplets. That's my advice to you. Fran, do I switch the autopilot before reaching the first waypoint of the SID or just after passing it? It all depends on the SID and where they are. I tend to put it on where I'm quite happy with how everything's going and the flight director's pretty much aligned and we're okay. I think it needs to be, I don't think you normally turn it on below 1,000 feet if that's right, but I think different airlines have different operating procedures for that. Oh, I'm glad I can keep you entertained, Lewis. Right, one last thing before I head off to work. When using the constraint, do you normally set the lowest constraint on the altitude for the star for it to hold at all the altitudes going down? Yes, that would work. That would work. Let me just increase that rate of descent a little bit. Make sure we get down there by Bannock's. We're not a million miles away from that. Thanks HD, I'll let you know afterwards if anything went very wrong. Let's pray they haven't removed anything important in those lines of coding, eh? Famous last words, HD. Famous last words. Okay, so after Bannock's, heading about 043 degrees to Domos, and then we track an easterly direction to the final waypoint, PG 516, heading of 88 degrees. We need to be descending to about 5,000 feet for a left base to intercept our ILS. Thank you, HD. I shall speak to you soon. Cry laughing if the landing gear wouldn't deploy. We'd be alright doing that at Charles de Gaulle. They've got plenty of emergency services to bail us out if that happens. Captain Robert, this is actually a pre-release of like a developer build. Once things have been signed off by the QA testers, such as is done in this flight, then they sort of get slowly incorporated into the developer build, and then they sort of get to a point where they say, right, we've actually got quite a lot of new stuff between the last stable build and where we are now with the developer build, and it's all working absolutely fine, so let's say that this is all stable, and off we go. Belly landing in France. Oh, no thanks. Oh, that profile works really nice. We needed to be between 15 and 14,000 feet, and we're now just passing 150. Beautiful. So we can travel to Domus now at 140, and then once we've passed, we'll start our descent. Peter Buck, yeah, the A320 throttle quadrants. I thought there was meant to be a preset setting in the simulator for that. I'm guessing they haven't got it working just yet. Is there anyone in the chat that is also on our Discord that does have that and has it working? If so, then Peter Buck, get yourself in our Discord server. They will send you a picture or screenshot of whereabouts they need to be. Hervidel, if you're given an altitude, a little bit of useless information for you. Altitude is below the transition level. Flight level is above the transition level. So if you're given altitude flight level 120, then you would be on local pressure. If you are given a flight level of 120 by ATC, then you would be on standard pressure. But in the simulator, they probably don't go that far with default air traffic controls. So what I would suggest is, if they are one and the same, I would go with local pressure. Scandi 941, good evening to you, my friend. Will we get a view of the Eiffel Tower? Will we get a view of the Eiffel Tower as we pass over? There is some scattered clouds about, according to the current METAR. Oh, what's happening here? The sim's having a moment. I thought he was going to crash to Descott then. I thought, no way, it can't happen in 2 test flights, not 2 in a row. Clearly just switching to the external view. put a little bit of extra workload on the GPU and it decided to stop for a minute. Oh, I can't have another crash to desktop. I'm at 1 so far, guys. 1 crash to desktop since the Sims release. Joshua Lang, no, sadly I'm not a real pilot. I am very fortunate to have friends that are real A320 pilots and have taught me a hell of a lot over the years. Scandi 941, shoot, what's the question? I'm excited for this. Digital flight deck, your heart stopped. Yeah, mine too. Sam C, when calling up ATC for pushback on VATSIM, do you say your call sign? Always say your call sign, Sam. Always, always, always. They need to know who you are. Thompson Jensen, the transition altitude is different for every airport, with the exception of the United States and Canada, where the transition altitude is 18,000 feet nationwide. Digital flight deck, do you fly British Airways? That's nice to know. Okay, so let's just give ourselves an ATC clearance. So let's say ATC calls us, says FlyByWire blah blah blah, because I've forgotten the call sign. Descend now, flight level 9,000. So it is still a flight level at this moment in time. We would still be on standard pressure. Down we go, and I'm going to see how the open descent works. Let's just give it a moment, see what happens. That seems to be working pretty nicely. Phil Nielsen, good evening from Vancouver in Canada. Thank you very much. I hope the tutorials are useful. Any questions? Get in touch with me. See if I can help you out further. Scandi 941, was that the question or have I missed it? Oh, hang on. How come when I check my ILS frequency on the Navcom, the radiocom frequency on VPilot changes too? Does it? Did not know that. I've never had that happen. Hey guys, if you look straight in front of us, you can actually see the airfield. There is... there's Charles de Gaulle. We're not landing on that runway though, we're going to have to come all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to slow the aircraft down a little bit now. Get some spoilers out. And let's get the passengers in their seats before we hit 10,000 feet. Oh, that's dark.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the cockpit, we're now descending towards our destination. There's no delays ahead of us, so we should have you down very shortly. If you could please assist the cabin crew by passing the equipment you may have as they come around. And for your safety, please make sure your seatbelts are fastened, the electronic devices are switched on, locked into airplane mode, and the aircraft toilets will also be out of use. We hope you've enjoyed the flight, and we'll have you now ground safely shortly.
X3497. I normally let those that donate to the channel pick any particular routes that they want to fly. That's only fair, and it's also my way of saying thank you to those that support the stream, either through the super stickers, super chats, and the PayPal link as well, of course. Nick, you flew to Iceland last night. How was the landing? How was the landing? So, have we passed the decel point yet? Boomer Richard, hello! Thanks for watching. Glad to have you on board this this flight. You're all executives for Airbus, by the way, on this flight. That was the way I thought of this. So let me just have a quick look behind us. It will be a very quick look as well. Can we see the Eiffel Tower anywhere? It should be down there somewhere. No. To be fair, it could be one of those red lights. I've not actually seen it in the sim yet. The cabin announcements, Phil, come from self-loading cargo. Okay, so we'll just continue our descent a little bit more, down to 6,000 feet. Missed approach, if anything goes astray, the missed approach altitude is 5,000 feet. Now this is where we'd normally continue on a missed approach track. Unfortunately that is not yet implemented into Flight Sim 2020. So we would continue on a heading of 281 degrees and then onto the PON VOR, so that means we need to pop the VOR frequency here into the RadNav, which is 111.6, so we can type that in, 111.6, pop that in, there we go. So if we needed it, we've got that, and we can also turn that VOR information on just there. What is interesting is I've not got any distance from that. That's interesting. So you can just see Charles de Gaulle flashing there underneath that cloud bank. Lewis Ryan, no, we just want to get the autopilot, basically getting the the engines on idle. Remember, if you're going down, your aircraft is going to gain speed unless it is controlled. Okay, tell you what else I'm going to do to check that. Let's get the Charles de Gaulle. 115.35. Let's pop that in the RadNav. 115.35. 115.35. And all I'm checking for here is that we've not lost DMEs. Because that's not showing on there. Let's go to... Oh no, we've got... So maybe the point in VOR doesn't have DME, which would be very, very strange if it didn't. But never mind. So our flight plan sequencing is all correct. The approach checklist, minimums are set 587. Engine mode selector is required. Electronic flight bag is all set up for me here as well. Let's get the landing system on then. There we go. So that's populated quite nicely. We can now hit the approach phase as well. Performance, activate the approach phase, confirm. Once we've done that, then we want manage mode for our speed. Flight path looks good, monitor that. What we are going to do is after we pass this particular waypoint, which is PG 516, so after we have passed that, we are going to fly on a heading of 88 degrees. So we're about to pass that in a moment. So what we can actually do is we can probably select that now. There we go. It's already 88 degrees. Absolutely perfect. So we now just continue on this heading until we make a left turn for base. There we go. Lewis, if you've got a headwind, then still you want to pull the speed back just because you don't want the aircraft to be speeding up. Use that headwind to help control your speed on the descent. So this is looking good. And we can get rid of the weather, put the terrain radar on if we want that. There are some obstacles in Paris. Remember, the minimum safe altitude here in Paris is 3,200 feet. Again, the missed approach, 5,000 feet on a heading of 281 degrees. £200 per lesson for your CPL, for your private pilot's lessons, the PPL. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me one bit. Lewis, that's what we're here for, mate. Okay, so let's get down to our platform altitude of 5,000 feet. And we can now go flaps 1. And all I'm looking for before I start to make that base turn is wait for the glide slope to come alive. Once that's above us, or certainly level with us, we'll make that left turn. Digital flight deck will give you the Discord in a moment. I'm certain of that. So now we're going down to altitude 5,000 feet. We need to set standard pressure, not standard pressure, local pressure of 1019. There we go. There is the glide slope. So let's start to make our way around, shall we? "15 miles out. Flaps 1. Let's bring her all the way around. And in a moment we can arm the approach mode. Lewis, you're in the Discord. All your questions shall be answered. Callum, safe landing. Thank you very much. We'll see how we do. So, there's our glide slope. Let's go and hopefully capture that. The problem I've noticed with the sim is it doesn't always capture the glide slope before capturing the localizer. So, as it did there, as you can see, we've not actually captured the glide slope. It's wanting to bring us all the way around, so what I am going to do is, just for a moment, let's take the approach mode off. Let's go back into heading mode, come back around, and I'm going to, whoa, didn't mean to hit the zoom out button. Let's start descending, shall we? We probably needed to fly a few further miles north before turning to intercept the localizer. That was my fault. But we can descend down now with the localizer. It's a normal 3-degree flight path, which is a descent rate of about 700, between 700 and 800 feet. Let's bring that round now and it'll capture the localizer in a moment. So essentially the green line you can see on the navigation display is a runway, extended runway centre line. There it is. Localizer alive. Glide slope blue. Flaps 2. 12 miles out. So we've got to go to the ILS rows and we shall capture that nicely. Slight crosswind from the right hand side, so we'll see how that handles when we get down. Don't need to worry about ATC or anything daft like that. So that's capturing the ILS quite nicely. 10 miles out. Did say that there was cloud until about, was it 1400 feet? There we go. So we can see the runway ahead of us. 9 miles out. Kevin Adams, hello. The announcements come from self-loading cargo.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to land. Please make sure you are seated with your belts fastened and your trays in the upright position. Any items should be safely stored, and remember to turn off all electronic devices until after landing. Thank you.
Okay, radio altimeter is alive.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing.
Seven miles out. Darth, we don't turn all the lights out, but we normally have the dome lights off. Thomas, we don't need the wheels down to about between 5 and 6 miles out. They just add extra drag, which burns fuel, and no airline likes that too early. Although we're at 6 miles now, so yeah. Landing gear down. Flaps 3. And we can also go flaps full. Ground spoilers armed. I have to ding this cabin as well. I've got self-loading cargo, but they're not integrated, so... Okay, and the landing checklist. Cabin secured for landing. Auto thrust is on speed. Go around. Altitude 5,000 feet is now set. And ECAM memo, no blue. All that's left to do now is hopefully land nicely. Perfect headwind of 15 knots. I apologise, I have been missing everything in the chat for the last 5 or 10 minutes whilst concentrating on flying the aircraft. So once we're on the ground, if there are any burning questions that I have missed, please do re-ask them. I shall do my best. So that's 1,000 feet, then autopilot 1 off. And the great thing I love about fly-by-wire technology, I've got my hand on the stick, but I've not actually had to make any inputs as of yet. Everything is just flying perfectly memorized by the fly-by-wire technology. Don't need auto brake, Callum. It's a very long runway. It's not always used. Reverse thrust will slow us down very nicely.
100 above. 300. Minimum.
So looking out the window now, guys, we're close enough now, we're fully visual, we don't need to worry about the instruments too much. Just keep looking out that window and try and nail that centre line.
50, 40, 30,
Which we've just gone off of slightly.
10, 5,
Yeah, so we had a slight gust of wind there. But we still touched down okay, so that's the main thing. Get it back on the centre line as we came along. But in terms of an actual test of the aircraft, seems to be working all right, doesn't it? Let's vacate.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Paris. The local time is 18:32. Unfortunately, the temperature is currently a very cold 0 degrees Celsius, or 32 Fahrenheit, so if you have a jacket or coat, you might want to put it on before exiting the aircraft. Please remain seated until the aircraft arrives at the gate. You are reminded to keep all electronic devices switched off until you have entered the airport terminal. Thank you for flying with Aviation Data Systems.
Aviation Data Systems, who are they? What's that? Are they cars? I'm sure I just saw a flying car. Hey, look at that! Okay, well that's not a bug with the fly-by-wire, that's Microsoft Flight Simulator doing its thing. Oh well, maybe Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is future-proof. That's what they're predicting. Let me get the parking brakes on and just configure a few things. So TCAS off, weather radar off, wind shear off, and get that APU started as well. Take the landing lights off, nose turn lights off, strobe lights also off. There we go. Right, so obviously what we would do now, taxi terminal, shut the aircraft down. However, from a testing point of view, we don't need to go that far. But everything looks like it's working really, really nicely. So again, this was just a test flight for fly-by-wire, in that they've removed about 1,000 lines of code, which was unused. So I'm not a coder, but I presume that's bad. You don't just want to leave coding lying around if it's not being touched. It just clogs things up. The main idea is just to check that everything works, and as a test flight, that worked pretty well. Nothing wrong with that at all. Didn't see anything happening that that shouldn't. I can at the moment hear engines. What's happening with that? No, we're not spooling up or anything daft. Was that just me? Could you guys hear engines there spooling up? And I've got no other aircraft around me. So that's a little bit strange, in that we've got engines spooling up. But only the sound. We haven't actually got engines spooling up, we've just got the sound of engines spooling up. So that's not just me, you guys all heard that as well. Wonderful. Okay, well I'll let them know about that. Okay guys, so this was great just to get this little test flight in. I wasn't expecting to be able to do a stream today, but we managed to get this in. I'm going to leave that there for tonight. Thank you very, very much for joining me on this flight. Thank you to all the subscribers. Thank you especially to those that donate to the channel as well, either via super stickers, super chats, or via the PayPal link as well. All very, very much appreciated. Get yourselves in the Discord channel as well, and if I miss any of your questions, or you have further questions after this flight, either add a comment on the video or get me in the Discord channel. I'm on there trying to avoid doing homeschooling as often as possible at the moment. Alright guys, thank you very much. Have a safe night, and I shall see you all very, very soon. Good night. AVC29, it could be the APU. Thanks for letting me know. Speak to you all later. Bye bye.